It's been the year of affordable GMTs. Every brand under the sun seems to be releasing a new GMT model every other week. Automatic GMTs were usually reserved for watches around or over the $1,000 mark. But since the release of the new Seiko NH34 movement, affordable automatic GMTs have become a reality. But what if you don't want a Seiko movement? What if you want a Swiss GMT movement that still sits in that affordable spectrum? Cue the Steinhart Ocean 39 GMT. This is probably the most affordable Swiss-made automatic GMT in the market. But is it worth the asking price compared to its NH34 competition? Stick around and let's find out. You can get this watch directly from Steinhart for around $650. But here's a quick tip. Steinharts are probably some of the best value watches you can find on the used market. I've owned 3 of them, and all 3 were purchased second-hand. They all came in excellent condition. They were still under warranty, and I paid much less than buying a brand new one. I got this 1-year-old model for $450. That's $200 of savings that you can put in the bank, or, being more realistic, use to buy another watch. Your choice. The dimensions on this watch are right in that Goldilocks zone. The compact diameter and lug-to-lug length make it wear great on the majority of wrist sizes. In typical Steinhart fashion, this case has that signature flat profile that you'll find on many of their models. Even with that flat profile, it feels very comfortable on the wrist, and a lot of that has to do with excellent case finishing. The transitions are well defined, but there are no sharp edges anywhere on this watch. All the edges and corners have a subtle rounding off. This is a very small detail that plays a big part in the wearing comfort. There's a fine and consistent brushing on the top of the case, and the sides are fully polished. The screw-down crown is flanked by crown guards, and it has a deep engraving of the Steinhart logo. It's quite easy to operate. The knurling gives it a ton of grip, and it treads in and out very smoothly. Screwing out the crown allows you to hand wind the watch. Pulling it out to the first position changes the date or GMT hand, and you can set the time in the last position. The red and blue bezel insert is made from ceramic, with engraved 24-hour markings filled with white paint. The Pepsi colorway looks beautiful. I like how they went with shades that are not too bright or too subdued. It has a Lume pip at the 12 o'clock position, but the alignment on my unit was slightly off to the left. The bezel has 120 unidirectional clicks, but I wish they would update this to a real GMT bezel with 24 bidirectional clicks. It's probably a cost-cutting measure to use the same bezel they're using on their diver models, but if AliExpress brands can give us bidirectional bezels at the prices they're charging, I don't see why Steinhart can't do the same. The polished bezel grip can be a bit slippery to turn if you have sweaty hands, so it can get a bit annoying in the summer. That being said, the bezel feels rock solid with absolutely no backplay, and the clicks sound defined and consistent. Moving on to the crystal, it's a flat sapphire with a blue AR coating on the inside to minimize reflections. The blue AR coating is quite subtle, and it gives you a very clear view of the dial in most lighting conditions. There's also that familiar date magnifier above the date window. If you've watched my last Steinhart review, you know how I feel about that. The date magnifier here barely magnifies the date, so I'm not sure why it's even there in the first place. The dial is matte black, and there's a subtle grainy texture to it. It's not a deep black, it looks more of a very dark grey in bright lighting. The dial printing is crisp and clean. The top of the dial has the Steinhart logo and name, and the bottom has 4 lines of text with a nice pop of red. You'll also find the Swiss-made print at the 6 o'clock position and a date cutout at the 3 o'clock position. The indices are applied and have a rounded polish finish. They look quite shallow though, so I'm not sure if they're actually applied or if they're just stamped onto the dial. The hands have that signature style from the watch it's homaging. They're flat and polished across the entire length, and there's a nice red arrow at the tip of the GMT hand. The hands and indices are filled with Swiss BGW9 Lume. It glows in a cool blue color and lasts almost the entire night, but it's nowhere close to the Lume I've seen on my Swiss or Proxima watches. The Lume on the indices is quite weak. It degrades quickly and you can notice the difference compared to the stronger glow on the hands. The caseback has a nice engraving of what I'm fairly sure is Poseidon, I think. Powering this watch is the Swiss Sellita SW330 movement. It beats at 28,800 bph, which makes the second hand sweep more smoothly compared to lower beat movements like the Seiko NH34. Steinhart uses the elaborate grade on this watch, which means it's adjusted in 4 positions. My unit averaged around plus 4 seconds per day during my time with it. The bracelet is a 5-link style with a very nice taper, going from 20mm at the lugs to 16mm at the clasp. Steinhart makes excellent 3-link bracelets, but this 5-link bracelet feels even better than that. The links have excellent articulation and the edges are rounded off. That combination with the drastic taper makes it feel very comfortable against your wrist. The links are attached with big screws that thread in and out very smoothly. The solid female end links fit the lugs perfectly. The brushing also looks great and it matches the brushing on the case. The clasp has a flip-lock mechanism that features the Steinhart logo. It's brushed on top with polished bevels on the side. The clasp and extension are fully milled and it feels very smooth to open and close. You get 4 adjustment positions here, so you'll have no problem tuning in the perfect fit. So to sum up, what do I think about the Steinhart Ocean 39 GMT? I might come across a bit critical in this review, but that's just because I really love Steinhart. While they are incredible watches for the money, I'm worried the competition might soon leave them behind. They seem to be resting on their laurels. They release new model variations based on the same old platforms, but they rarely seem to update them. The weak lume, low date magnification, slippery bezel, and use of a unidirectional bezel on their GMT models have been complaints for years. But there's been no sign that Steinhart is even remotely interested in fixing them. They have that Swiss-made label that means a lot to some people, and their customer service is second to none. But AliExpress brands like Swiss, Proxima, and many more are quickly catching up in quality, constantly innovating, and rapidly updating models according to customer feedback. And they're doing all this while charging much lower prices. Is that Swiss-made label and customer service enough for you to choose a Steinhart over those other watches? Let me know what you think in the comments. That being said, this is still a fantastic watch. There's a reason I've owned and loved 3 Steinharts. They're just incredible value for money. If you really want a high-quality, Swiss-made automatic GMT, this is still your cheapest ticket.